So I finally watched Joker 2, here's my thoughts. By the way, quick note, this scene on the screen right now wasn't in the film. Hello guys and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. My name is Marty and normally I do movie reactions. I felt like for this one I really wanted to do a review because I wanted to see what everybody was saying about and why they were all giving it a bad review. Needless to say, I really enjoyed it. By the way, quick disclaimer, I don't follow DC films or comic book lore, etc. So I'm not very familiar with the origins of Joker. So this is just coming from a standard film fan's point of view. Anyway, back to the video. Now, despite what everyone else has said, I feel like you should go into it if you're going to go and see the film with an open mind, because this is one, and by the way, this is a non-spoiler review. So there was a lot of talk about this shouldn't have been made. What was the point in making it? A lot of it just felt unneeded. But you could say that with a lot of films. I had already seen Joker 1 many years ago when that first came out. Really loved the film. It was a completely independent story to the original Joker story. For me, it felt like a different take on the character and nothing to do with where it came from. Like many people, I didn't expect there to be a sequel. I didn't think there needed to be a sequel. But what I mean by that is this felt more like an analysis of Arthur Fleck himself, and we see this film from the mind of Arthur Fleck, whereas the first film, yes, okay, it was the mind of Arthur Fleck and we saw him turn the way he did, but with that film it kind of felt like we were an outsider watching him do these different things, whereas with this film, this feels like we're now seeing the reason why he is like he is. We kind of saw it with the first film, but this one gives us more context and more reasoning behind certain things. There were so many things that I saw people giving this a bad review about, and my friend did as well. We're going to go into it with an open mind, but will this be a good film or not? Turns out this is a very good film. This, I felt, was almost like the documentary of the first one, if that makes sense. This one felt like the breakdown of what happened in the first one. This was an analysis of Arthur Fleck as a character and why he was the way he was. We see some backstory, some of the traumas that are there from his life. We see almost his downfall from the first film. Again, I'm trying to not give spoilers for this because there were certain things to do with the ending that made me go, wait, what? Who's this meant to be? Who's that meant to be? I have a theory on it. It isn't what we think initially, because of this being a take on his character. The whole thing is a different interpretation to what we originally saw with comic books, etc. This is just the same character names but told in a different way. Just watch the ending very carefully for what happens in every corner of the shot. Let's start with the musical element of the film, and so many people I've watched have said, oh well, it's a musical, I don't really like musicals, and they tend to have given it a bad review, not because it's a musical, but because of other reasons. But I feel like it's partly to do because it was a musical and that took up so much time in the film. But for me, it was needed. 100%, every single song was needed. Yes, they could have been cut down. There were a few that I thought this didn't need to go on as long as it was, but it was needed. The musical scenes are so bloody beautiful in this. They convey all of his emotion that's going on in his mind. I believe that these casting choices were fantastic. I saw some other people mentioning that the casting of Lady Gaga as Harley was wrong because she just doesn't act like Harley, and she doesn't act the way that like Margot Robbie played her. Anyway, that's something I'll mention later in the review. A lot of people have basically panned it just because certain things aren't as they thought they were, or it just felt like it was chucked together. It felt like they kept cutting away to songs every few seconds and not giving the story breathing room, etc. The reason that the musical elements are in there is because of that. Is because of the story. The musical elements are there to back up his emotions within the story parts. They are his thoughts going through his head every second of the time. And he's in his own world because he's always been told that he's an entertainer, that he can make people laugh, etc. And so him being this entertainer as the Joker, as a character, the Joker, is him doing that, is him being entertaining and putting on a show for people. And I feel like no one really touched upon that when I saw the reviews I did. I just needed to get that out there because there were so many people saying, oh, but the musical elements didn't fit. They just sort of chucked in there and cuts away from the story, blah, blah, blah. But if you pay attention to them, there is real reason. Even the lyrics to the songs back up everything that happens in the non-musical scenes. For instance, that one of the very first songs that we see him sing, I can't remember the specific song it is now, but it's done in a certain way that makes you think one thing is happening, but something else is happening at the same time. But all of the lyrics he sings, all of what he's saying, is about him and Harley.
For once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
They play a lot with lighting as well with this, where they create a certain feeling with the lighting as if he's on stage performing something. And I love that there are certain shots, we see some in the trailer to it, but there are certain shots where the spotlight will go just come on, or they'll open a door and the spotlight will be there, and then the person that's there with him will say showtime, and then he'll go on as if he's going on to perform something as an entertainer. It's so well put together. The cinematography of this film is gorgeous. This film, I think, was needed. I mean, if you think just as a film itself, no, it wasn't needed. But have we needed most films these days? No. But if you really like the first Joker film and you want to see more of an in-depth look at the character, this is the perfect film to do just that. So one of the things I saw in quite a few of the reviews was that Harley just seems to suddenly like him and there's no real reason for her liking him. I didn't get that from the film whatsoever. I got the idea that they were hiding some stuff away for later in the film. That makes sense. But from the very first moments I saw her look at him, she realizes who he is and she goes, oh, it's him, it's the Joker. Having seen something that he's been in, seen the news broadcasts, and because of where she is and that, she wanted to kind of have a little bit of a rapport with him, even as just a hi from down the hallway, which is where we get the interaction that we saw in the trailer with the whole thing. That to me made perfect sense how she was being in that very moment, because if you pay attention to the sort of the look she gives him and the things that she says afterwards, it makes perfect sense why she is like she is towards him.
When I first saw Joker, when I saw you for once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore.
As you know, they both like each other in this film, but what I thought from the very beginning of the film, and I'm not spoiling it, but from the very beginning of the film, my thought was she fell in love with the Joker. That's the reason she's fanatical about him, is because she has feelings for him, but the only thing she's seen him as is the Joker. So she had this adoration there for the Joker himself. But that's my thought on Harley. But Lady Gaga that plays Harley, I believe personally was a very good casting choice for this. One, she could sing and does that very well in the film.
Sing hallelujah, come on, get happy, ready for the judgment day.
And I saw so many people panning her for not playing Harley the way we wanted her to be played. She's not meant to be that Harley. The Joker isn't meant to be the same Joker. This Joker, this Harley are two different instances of those characters. Personally, Lady Gaga does it very well. Aside from the singing, she plays this very troubled, curious character that we always kind of want to know a bit more about. And yes, that isn't the normal portrayal of Harley, but there are moments in there that we realise she is Harley. The change in different things, different dynamics is so well done. Like different things that she'll do or say, like the look that she gives him in a certain conversation is there purposefully. Whether it's a camera pan around, there's a beautiful scene where they're watching an old film and it's a Fred Astaire film, and the Fred Astaire film is one I've never seen before, but they mention about climbing some stairs, etc., and you can see there's meant to be parallels there between the Joker and this specific scene.
Remember, I'm still just an entertainer.
What did Bill Robinson do? He danced on the stairs, didn't he?
The shots themselves within that scene are meticulously done to show how they feel about one another. In fact, throughout the film, they're done like that. You can maybe not like musicals, and you can still love this film. I do feel like the musical numbers, yes, do go on a bit long, but for them being in the film, that's absolutely fine. It's fully justified why they're in there. The very first couple of scenes of the film are very slow after an initial little thing that we see, and I believe it's done that certain way because of what plays on the TV in every single scene almost in the film. Just watch the monitors later in the film once you've seen the opening sequence. I love the opening sequence, very well done, and I thought it was almost a little bit of a foreshadowing on the rest of the film, but also kind of went into the events of the last film, which I think it was supposed to have done. The opening scenes after this specific thing take a complete nosedive in pace. We get these really small, tiny push-ins to the characters. We see almost entire conversations play out as they would naturally, and it's done that way, I think, because it's meant to show his time in incarceration and how long it has been for him. So whilst there are probably people out there that want to watch it and go, oh god, this is such a slow opening, oh, I'm used to really fast films. No, this is how it's supposed to be for a reason. This film is meticulously telling us exactly how he's feeling moment to moment. I'm so hoping that I'm explaining this well. I'm trying to get my thoughts about the entire film out to you guys. How a few of the characters are in the film is because they have watched the Joker and been influenced by the Joker for so many years. But like I said, watch out in the background for something happening in the very last bit. So I don't normally give scores for films, but I wanted to do it for this one because I've seen a lot of lower numbers. I think it needs a higher number. That's why I'm going to give this film a 7 out of 10. I know on the short I said a 7 or 8 out of 10, but thinking on it now a little bit more, I feel like a 7 is the perfect number for the film. I'll tell you what, do you know what I'm going to do? I am going to give a very short spoilery review over on Patreon, okay? So if you'd like to check that out, you can do, but for now, that is everything for this review. This is a non-spoilery one as much as possible, but there's some other stuff I want to talk about that I'll mention in the other one. Feel free to check that one out as well. But yes, thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you're still here to the very end, then thank you so much, and also a huge thank you to my wonderful patrons: Roger C. Griffith, Douglas Collier, Terry V, Miggy Love, Chris Holmes, Jojo, Thomas Masters, Shoehorn1234, Res, Patrick Durr, Andrew Blount, Carlos, Marla Mize, Rob, Chandra Blair, Scott, Paul Zawicki, Randy, Kirsten, Juan Pablo Camero, JL, Maggie, Freya Alexandra, Milo, Miranda, Edna, Gina Aman, Tess Avaland, Olivia, Maria Stoicheva, Neno, Megan Janoviak, Rainy Tomo, Strawberry Tree, Kirsten Bailey, Boobly Boo, Louise Vanderhoven, Aubrey Terry, Wraithist, Heidi Steele, City D, Bumblebee, Joshua, Jesse, Rena Burra, Meet, Lolita Verbakovskia, Eli, Holly Jeffries, Alenka Hafner, HM Garth, Chloe Grover, Neb, Kyle Baker, Abby Barker, Tom Tattershall, Kristen Olds, Tilly Chum, Laura Hutchison, Tara M. Wilcoxon, Sazzy Nation, Ferdinand Pitchard, Jim K, Sphere, Mel Days, Fran in the Pen, BG, Tara, Rags and Muffins, Nameless Human Being, Deb, Philippa Chapman, Emily, Panda, David Wayne Fox, Jessica Asakovich, Sue Pro, Naja and Workshop, Mike Tunnicliffe, Wolfgang Wolf, Lee, Harvey, Ankame, Aninya, Evan G, Violet Aurora, Pamela Chandler Rash, Scott Howard, Joshua, Robert Williams, Steve Webster, Amanda, Lipaz, Jamie Dodds, King, Happy Go Lucky, Caitlin, Analytical Guy, Maria Torres, Cliff Adams, Jonathan, Dirk, Annie Bonds, Crystal Appleby, Scorpius, Monica Murphy, Sebastien St-Ange, Varga, Leslie McKittrick, Nick Stark, Number 1 Carez, Jen, Biff McKeldin, Birgit, Stephanie Collins, Emily, Ken Duncan, and Max. If you'd like to see more videos, there's some more on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you next time.